Imagine my excitement when not one, but two sets of brand new Wilson Staff irons turned up at my door. Hi everyone, my name is James Robinson. Welcome back to this YouTube channel. Today, I have two sets of irons of which I'm mega excited to try because I loved the previous generation. Today, we're going to test them for numbers. We're going to see just if I can hit the Wilson Staff blades, and we're going to see just how forgiving the Wilson Staff cavity back irons really are. Now, I'm not sure which ones are in which box, so let's get these open and let's see which ones are which. Really, really nice packaging here from Wilson. And straight away, check that out. Oh, that is just filthy. I love how they've taken away the WS out of that logo. You know, simplicity sometimes is just golden, isn't it? So are they the best looking iron ever? Get in the comments below and let me know. And let's have a look at the counterpart, the CB, the cavity back, because I think these could be an iron which so many people potentially look for in 2024. Look at that. So if we're going to go split set potential, which I think a lot of people would maybe do, this is the forged model, it's the Staff model, and I really, which one would you go with? Guys, get in the comments below and let me know, would you go with these? Right, I'm going to hit the 9 iron, the 7 iron and the 4 iron with both. I'm going to see potentially which one I can hit better. We might talk a little bit of tech in this CB as well, because let's be fair, in the Staff model blade, there's no tech. So we'll kick off with the pitching wedge. I know I said we're going to do a 9 iron, but for me, these are certainly the clubs where you are going to test for scoring. I actually played earlier today with a set of hollow-bodied irons. And the one thing I didn't like about them was, when it comes to pitching wedge, can you play that 130-yard shot, but also can you play that 100-yard shot sawn off? Looking at these two, I think it's amazing how Wilson have managed to keep them looking so good, both of them. And I think ideally you would just work these into a split set. Obviously, my Takomo 301s here, I have CBs in the long iron. Look at the mud in there. That's from another day. I think that might be Floridian mud, that, Chris. And then I have the bladed irons in the short irons. So I think a lot of people would potentially try that. We'll kick things off with the blade because I've got the wrapper off it. A lot of people here are going to be looking for feel. They're going to be looking for spin rate. They're going to be looking for, that's what I'm looking at, Chris. Come and look it down here, because how thin is that heel area? The toe looks massive and the heel looks really, really, really small. So if you do struggle with a, can I say it? Maybe these aren't going to be for you, but I had a warm-up with this club and it felt just like that. Wow. Now, if you're looking for a club that feels as good as it looks and goes the perfect distance first time off the bat, 8,000 spin, 125 carry, and these are all traditional lofted, as you can imagine as well, so that's the exact shot I want to hit. That one was a little bit more skinny. I imagine that one's going to be about a 120. You're not going to get the go 125 again. Now, this could be interesting because if these clubs do have the element of forgiveness that I'm thinking maybe they don't have, could they be the perfect clubs? You can see how the CG or the mass has been distributed around this face. So that is designed just to help you enhance the feel and maybe enhance the flight a touch. Come on. One more with this and we'll go CB. That's the one that you turn it over a little bit. That one's going to carry probably 130, but it's going to cling onto the green. 129, going a little bit more, spinning less, as I would imagine. Now, as we go to the CB, I find this really, really interesting because the CB is the club here in the pitching wedge that I think a lot of people potentially won't have in the CB. They'll have probably in the MB or the blade. But I think a lot of people who potentially are thinking, you know what, I'm just going to go full Wilson Staff cavity backs. The top line's a little bit thicker. It's still, to be honest, it's still not the most forgiving looking club, but you can tell there's a little bit more tech in here, which I do quite like. I think a lot of people are going to want that just for a bit better feel. I've hit that really bottomy, and if that carries the distance, I'll be amazed. No, it hasn't. That was a terrible strike. 120. Loads of spin on there, though. And this is where, if you are going to go for these clubs, if you are going to go for Wilson Staff irons, does it really matter? Is there as big a difference here as what a lot of people do think? I've absolutely ripped that, and that feels as good as any iron I've ever tested. I'm going to put it out there now. 127 carry. It stopped on a dime. That's the best shot I've hit so far. spin rate 8,000. So that stopped really, really nicely. So if I can't really kind of split these too much, let's see how they go throughout the bag. I think for how good that feels, you know, I wouldn't bother with the blade. That is absolutely gorgeous. Tiny bit short on that one. Let's move through the bag and let's see potentially the difference in these mid-irons, because when it gets to mid-irons, this is a really interesting thought. Which one do you go with here? This is the area of the bag where a lot of people would split the set. They would go, you know what, I might move into the CB from the MB. I might want... This is so hard to get off. Usually they're really easy to get off as well. There we go. I might want that bladed 7-iron just as I go into the 8-iron. We'll go blade first, I think, and we'll move back here on the Golf Zone, because personally, I think, I reckon 164 7-iron blade. You'd go more. Usually 165 for me is about nice. We're going to go more. Chris has told us to go more. So do you want me to step on these, Chris? Just normal. Right, can we have, first of all, a close-up at this, but also a moment's appreciation for how Wilson have made these clubs look, because they look unbelievable, don't they? They look really, really, really good. And there's more coming from Wilson this year as well, so really interesting to see how they're doing. This is the blade. I've not hit that well at all. That's going to be really short. 150. And that's realistically what you do get with a club like this if you don't strike it. That's massively down on ball speed because I didn't get it. Can we get there to this distance? This is where you start to see yourself get a little bit unstuck. It's another kind of 150-ish carry there. And I'm hoping things get better into the CB. It's a shame because this looks so good and it's not too dissimilar to the club I'm using. They're just bad golf swings. I'm still working on my hack motion lesson in my head a little bit. Oh yeah. I mean, when it's good, it's really good. I'll be amazed if that is there though. Is that going to be a 165-ish? Oh, it's there, Chris. That's unbelievable. You can tell who used to carry on tour and you can tell who just stands here aimlessly hitting balls. So when you do get that bladed 7-iron, it goes the distance. You've got 7,000 spin there. That's unbelievable. This straight away is more my kind of wheelhouse. Doesn't look that different. Just a little bit of a thicker top line, but blade length still nice and traditional. You see, I've not struck that, but I reckon that's the number. Go on. Oh, 165, I'm taking all day with a 7, funnily enough. Like 6-7 spin there, I think, for how I struck that, I can't wait to try the 4-irons, you know. Chris, what are your thoughts on those strikes?
See how much better with the CB?
Yeah, I thought that. I feel like I've hit that well, and it's a 160. Again, it's a number which I would be comfortable with, I'd be happy with. 7,000 spin, but let's try and step on this one and see. So again, I've struck that pretty well. CB definitely going higher here, and I don't know if that's maybe affecting how far the ball's going. I felt like with the MB, we'll hit one more 7-iron MB before we go into the 4-irons. I certainly felt as though I could maybe flight this down a little bit and just cover the yardage. You see the difference in that ball flight? A lot more direct and a lot more, I mean, look at the distance there. 177. If you are thinking about trying to work a ball flight, thinking more about artistry, bringing the spin rate down, 5,600 that, as opposed to 7,000, these clubs are absolutely gorgeous. Look at that ball flight, that's incredible. And I don't need to look because I know that's gone the distance. They're going miles, aren't they? Now, pray for James, because hopefully these go a little bit better. These are the 4-irons. These are the clubs that you've all come to see. Spectacular looking. I love the looks of these, but I also look how Wilson have tried to make them traditional looking. We can see they've got the kind of through, was it the old through shaft kind of thing there? I'd say technology, but it's not technology, is it? So let's set this up. How far do you reckon? 2.7 or 2.18? What do you reckon? I'm going to let you choose. 4-iron for me is usually 210, isn't it? But that 7-iron was going 178. Should we go CB first? Are you happy with that? 207.
CB first.
CB first. I think for a CB, you might as well have the blade. Personally, looking at that, I think I'd rather have, I mean, there's very, very minimal offset, lovely kind of mid to thick top line. But realistically, if you're going to have a 4-iron like that, just go with the blade. I think that's so good. It's a touch left, but from this distance, what's that carrying? So Chris clubbed me at 207, and that carried 207. It's almost like you know, isn't it? Spin rate, 4 and a bit. Very scientific, that, isn't it? 4 and a bit. That's toey. That's not going to be there. That's not going to be there. And you sort of lose that emphasis on the feel as well there. I mean, it still carried 194, but there's no way that that was ever going to go the distance from that strike. What if I try and flat this down a little bit like I was the 7? That's so much more direct, isn't it? Like that's, as a ball fly, what more do you want from a 4-iron? Realistically, it's running through the green a bit. Still spinning at 4,000 though, so nice numbers. I'd love to say as well, these grips are absolutely gorgeous in these clubs as well. Golf Pride Z grips, these, standard thickness. I'm really, really enjoying this. Guys, I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. This, look at this. Wow. As traditional as you would ever want a golf club to look. Now, we're okay here in the simulator doing this. I don't think I'd want to be on a par 3 stood at 210 in any weather. Never mind in the cold here in the UK at the moment. Ah! That really hurt. Ow. I've just tried to hit that so hard. And that's gone the same distance as the 7-iron. And that's a lesson to all of us here. A lesson to all of us, right? As me saying, you might as well have the blade. I think I've kind of toed and froed with this review and toed and froed about, I'm going to get these out on the golf course, guys. So if you want to see that, make sure you smash that subscribe button below. But look at this, you know, and so aside then, watch this. How good does that look? That looks absolutely gorgeous. And I think if you're going to buy these clubs, you're buying them primarily for the look and feel, and you have to be an absolute baller if you're buying them for the performance. Because every 1 in 10, you might hit it like that one, and it still might not get, oh, just front edge. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this video on the brand new Wilson Staff irons. I've absolutely loved these. I would certainly consider having these in the bag if you're in the market for a set of Players irons in 2024. Full on-course review coming very soon. So make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you all